This is 15. It's looking down here. Hold on.
Hello. Sorry, just reading my lines. Sorry. Hello. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I've been sitting on an anecdote that I've not told you
Yes,
for
please
weeks.
tell me. Have you any anecdotes?
Well, it was my birthday the other week, so we went up
It
to
was your
Newcastle.
birthday, 2 weeks ago, was it not? No, go on. It was your birthday. Tell me your story.
Sorry, I just as that bit was getting better.
I was working it in. I'm so method.
Yes, it was my birthday, and we went to Newcastle. So Claude's. Sorry, I'm absolutely parched. We should have had a sip of water at some point today.
I saw you drinking not 5 seconds ago.
What? Let's not start one again. Let's just keep going.
You're telling a story about Newcastle.
We're walking around Newcastle, and then Claude went, I've got a surprise for you. Didn't involve us staying in the hotel room. Got a bit annoyed about that. So we're walking around Newcastle. And all of a sudden she takes a right and starts going up the stairs. And like the bad shops when they're like on the first floor, like a small staircase.
The brothels, etc.
We go up there, and she basically opens the door to this Thai massage place. And I literally go, what were you doing? What are you doing? Like, as though she just started to walk into somewhere. And she goes, I've booked it for your birthday. Right. And I'm like, oh my God. A bunch of Thai women are in there.
Yeah.
Did you say what? Should I tell you what they were saying? And they're going, oh, hi, how are you? And Cody
sorry. What were they saying, sorry?
Northern accents. And they go, Cody goes, oh, yeah, hi, I'm here. Oh, instantly knew who Cody was. As though they didn't have exactly a long list of people showing up today. It's like, yeah, you must be the reason we've opened the shop today.
Who's the guy with you?
Well, that was it. So she goes, you're here for the hot stone massage.
Oh.
And you know me, I put my pot noodles in a fridge because I'm such a wuss about heat.
He does.
And she goes, you're here for the hour-long massage. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So it's not all about length.
It's all about girth.
So they take us through.
How girthy are your stones?
So they take us they take us through to this room, and there's 2 beds.
Yeah.
Oh,
with God. The holes cut in the pillow.
She basically goes, okay, if you can get down to your underwear, please, and then lie on the tables.
Yeah. Nightmare, you weren't wearing any. You thought you would go back to the hotel room.
So, yeah, she's using the face paint on my cheeks. I go commando for a reason. So, I got down onto the bed.
What, you snapped their necks at the end of it?
Got my boxers. Wearing white boxers as well, not the sort of boxers you want to be wearing.
Any skidders?
Absolutely disgusting. I'm often to end the podcast there. Right, so, and the beds are quite big.
Yeah.
Right.
You have put on weight.
So I sort of lay down on them and stuff. All of a sudden, 2 women come in. One sort of a slender, sort of nicer looking woman. One of them a troll. Guess which one I got?
Fingers crossed for one.
I swear she was like warming her knuckles up as she walked into. Not like that. Warming her. She came into the room. Instantly became aware of why the table, bed, whatever, was so big. Is because she clambered on instantly. She didn't even introduce herself. She leapt on.
Climbed you like a tree.
This is the thing. She's there, and she gets.
What you didn't know is they were playing "The Floor Is Lava."
So I was obviously. I'm just trying to say. I'm not trying to say a word. I've just got my face down.
Booty up. That's the way they like it. What?
And then instantly she clambers on me. So she puts both her knees. By the woman, this had like the same density as me. This woman, the mass.
Oh, fucking hell! It must be hairy. Hairy.
Is your weight accountable for your fucking hair? So she clambers on. She climbs like literally on my butt, like a 14-stone woman. I'm not 14 stone. Sorry.
An 8-stone woman.
Yes. Very slender woman. Gets on my, oh, you crashed.
No, I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Probably shouldn't have just said you crashed. Just stand it out. At this point, I'd like to welcome the audio listeners. Remember, you can watch this on YouTube. Please, somebody watch it on YouTube.
And give it a like.
Hey, there's always that thumbs up button if you like it.
Your story. She's clambered on you.
Clambers on me. Knees all over my back, like full on weight, incredibly painful. Over some my back. Oh no, that's it. She goes any tension. Right, and I look at her. She goes, "Are you tense?" I went, "I'm getting tenser." Didn't get a laugh. It was semi-serious. No semi-serious to be seen.
Not that tense.
And so she crams on my back and it cracks. Right.
Ooh.
And she goes, tension, like fucking tension. That could be a rib. Like, you know what the fuck's going on? Clambers on. Basically, an hour. It was an hour. Went fast, luckily. I turned down the hot stones. Obviously, that's just insane. I'm not a glutton for punishment. No. But it was a few mental moments. She literally she'd like kneel her full body on my arm, like her full body. I mean, it felt sort of weird, but to me, massaging just like displacing pain from one part of the body to the other. That's all it seemed to be. The weird part was she oiled me.
She was totally naked.
And hairy. The hair kept her dignity. She wanted to break my toes. Not break my toes. Make my toes pop.
You can't leave.
What they call me, click them. That's it.
I want to break your toes and put hot rocks on your body.
Well, she kept going down by the toes and she kept going like that, picking them, pulling them into the snaps.
Maybe describe that for the audio listeners.
And then the one that wouldn't do it was my broken toe. My little toe, everyone is broken. I dropped a TV on it many years ago. And she was never been fixed. She was literally grabbing it, and like her other foot might as well have been on the table. How hard she was pulling on my broken fucking toe, just waiting for me to click. I was half tempted to just go, so she thought it might have worked.
That's good.
But absolutely, honestly, insanity. Claudia had a hell of a time. Oh, that was it, and it finished. So she clambers on again. She finally sits me up.
Yeah.
She puts me in the full-on half Nelson position. Like full on half Nelson, like put
your hand in front of the mic.
Yeah. And she goes, they're laughing all the time to each other, by the way. Always laughing.
How did they laugh?
Anyway, she goes, don't fight back. But she got me in half Nelson. I'm like, half tempted to fucking fling over my shoulder. And I'm like, don't fight back.
That's great. So would you go again?
No. Probably not. I'd probably go for maybe a half an hour one.
Okay. Half an hour with a hot rock, singular.
Yeah. Is that what the masseuse is called? But yeah, anyway, so I've not been telling you that for a while. You'd have loved to have seen me in those horrible situations, being embarrassed and then laughing at me and stuff. But yeah, Claudia got to witness it.
Do you know that on a sort of film-related thing? Do you know that story about the 40-year-old virgin? Where the woman that they'd hired, to do the famous waxing his chest scene, she'd lied on her resume and couldn't wax people's chests. So she had
one
no
of those
idea.
Things you chuck on a CV that you're a masseuse. That's good.
She literally put a load of wax on his chest and put the paper on, to wax it off. And somebody had the foresight to say, hang on, aren't you meant to Vaseline his nipples? Because if you don't, you can just rip their nipples off. And if they hadn't, Steve Carell would have had it filmed because it was filmed live.
Oh, yeah, I know. They just did that scene, didn't they? And just
would have seen just his nipple get ripped off.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, one final thing before we move on. Dan, I'm on IMDb.
What?
I am on IMDb. How? And you're not.
How are you on IMDb?
What did I do? For some reason, I searched my name. What was it? Oh, that was it. 7 p.m. every single night. So I was searching my name and it just came across. I think, like the second page of Google where never goes. I think I clicked it, went through, and it just went IMDb Luke Coddy. And I went, oh, who's this guy that's got my name? Me. I am on.
For?
Let me get it up.
Is it for that thing you did at uni?
I'm on for Fight Night 2016. as self. I'm a pundit. I was a good pundit as well. If anyone wants to watch it, you can go see my punditry on the boxing.
Maybe plug our own stuff rather than.
I then went and searched you, thinking, well, Dan might be on for that thing you did at uni. Do you remember?
Beware of the dog or whatever it's called.
Where you were like a war doctor as well. What was it?
Beware of the dog.
We weren't there. There was like 9 Dan Wades.
Long de shad. Cat's tongues, that was.
So yeah. Anyway, do you want?
That's cool.
So we need to sort that out at some stage, Dan. You got to get yourself an IMDb.
Well,
should we get to the films?
Yeah.
So last week, yeah, whatever. You believe that, you believe anything. Last week, we decided to watch Nomadland eventually.
Oh,
we are a film podcast after all. We probably should watch the Best Picture winner at the Oscars. Dan, have you got your notes up?
I've got him.
Okay, why don't you kick us off?
So I thought this was quite a thoughtful film. And I think the tones are that of hope and sorrow, which I've put are the more subtle counterparts to happy and sad, because I don't think it's as clear cut as this, or as clear cut as that. I think it's playing with something much more subtle, which is, like I say, hope and sorrow. It's that expectation of happiness or a loss of happiness. So there's an element always of something good and the good times, but at times throughout her life, which we follow, I think it's bleak. And
I think that's interesting that you said I didn't get hope.
Did you
so
not?
I like you sort of settled up about what was this film about. I put it's a film about people, adversity, grief, poverty, and nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, I mean, I was just rattling off so many, I probably would have eventually got to hope. But for me, mostly it was a film a film about grief. I think was the main driver of that.
But isn't grief in turn a more subtle emotion, in that grief is the absence of something? You're grieving for something,
right?
You only experience grief at the loss of something, and that loss is that person who made you happy, or that thing that made you happy, or
right.
Do
you go down well at funerals?
Why are you fucking crying?
Hope. But no, I thought it was a film about grief for me because I think everyone that Frances McDormand's character crosses paths with was wearing some sort of albatross. Do you know what I mean? They're these nomads for a reason. A lot of it was financial reasons, or death of a partner. But they were all carrying that sort of adversity. They had to sort of triumph over.
That's so interesting. I've got a very similar note. I think at the end, I put in.
Is that the one I saw you just scribble down?
No, in relation to the financial situation, displacement, death, relationships, there's always hope, and that no matter how bleak or sorrowful life can be, being kind and focusing on the good things will make it more fulfilling. You know, the quote I've even put, the film ends with, "For those who had to depart, see you down the road." It's that idea of, there's a Japanese saying, I think it's sayonara, but I could be wrong. But sayonara translates in the same way that Auf Wiedersehen is until we meet again. It's not goodbye. You know, goodbye is permanent. This isn't, until we meet each other down the road. And that's hopeful, isn't it? I saw this. I actually felt this was quite a happy film in a very bleak way. And I think thoughtfulness came to me in that there were often moments where stuff would be discussed, and there were almost vignettes in that regard, in that her life on the caravan park, or her life at Amazon, and her life, it was quite sort of circular in that aspect. Where was I going with this?
Should we get to her performance?
Well, yeah. No, what was I going with that? All these different times, there was always an element of happiness, I think I was trying to say, in that, yeah, Amazon was very cold and very corporate, but then you had moments of her laughing and waving and joking with friends, and as she sat out on the balcony in the cold saying, "I'll see you next year, Sam." And do you know what I mean? Very human relationships, very grounded.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell. So it's an adapted screenplay, but it came from it wasn't a fiction novel. It was a woman who was basically a journalist in a sense, who was meeting these nomads on her travels. And you can see that apparently a few of the characters are the same people from the novel who has to play
Oh, really?
themselves. And you can
Oh,
definitely
that's
see
cool.
that. We mentioned that last time we talked about this, didn't we? That sort of neo-realism element to the film. That's very much there.
It's interesting that you say that as well, because I've remembered what I was saying about thoughtfulness, is that it gave moments of just long shots, beautiful shots as well, of the countryside or of whatever it was, wherever she was traveling through, to kind of ponder and reflect upon what you'd just watched.
Yeah, I definitely got that. I thought it was a film that perfectly captured rumination and like contemplation. Like you're asked to sit with the characters. Like, although I think a lot of people, when you watch this film, you'd say it's a character study. I would push back in terms of you're not actually asked to define the protagonist at all.
No.
We're sort of like she is a passenger. We're merely passengers with her for a year. The whole thing is literally cyclical, 1 year basically, and I guess you're just with her for the journey. She's talked about she's someone who's probably done too much remembering. That was probably the most impactful part of the film, when she's talking to the gentleman who's living with the grief of his son's suicide. It was really good.
Yeah,
He was really
good bit. Was he one of the genuine? That felt very real.
Yeah,
was he one of the one?
I don't know. Maybe he was very good.
Interesting,
but that was the essence of the film. A lot of these people have just done too much remembering or too much nostalgia, and they want to sort of go for hurrah, really, one last hurrah. But let's get to Frances McDormand, because we really should talk about her performance. I would say it's a tour de force, but that's sort of almost a bit too harsh a phrase. It's so much more subtle, such an incredible. I can't remember seeing a more complete, rounded character study in like forever. The depth of that character was incredible.
I give it two very, very good. I put understated, nuanced, and brilliant, because it was all of those things. It felt like there wasn't a script. I was talking with somebody about this the other day, and I was saying that Anthony Hopkins, who
That's
I love,
another podcast, I'll kill you.
But he rehearses his lines 500 times so that they feel like they're just spoken. It doesn't feel like. And how many times do we see that in film where dialogue is spoken and it's just terrible? And this didn't feel like that at all. It left the camera left her so much room, and the director left her so much room to do her own thing, and it was just beautiful to watch. It was tour de force is a good.
Yeah, I definitely want to pick up on that, because huge credit to Chloe Zhao, the director, expertly handled. Do you know what I mean? That sort of languid, meandering film like makes the direction the centerpiece. Do you know what I mean? So it really reminded me of a film cut by what's it called? It's called Gideon something. It's called Sleep Furiously. And it's a film about small Wales countryside, and it's we basically asked the character
small Welsh countryside.
What did I say?
Small Wales.
Oh no, very small Wales. Very, very small Wales.
They sleep furiously.
But basically, the scenery and the landscape is the essential character in that documentary, and in it here, that sort of we've got these long, vast open plains like Empire, where they used to live, the grief for Empire, but they haven't sort of left those sort of places. We never actually saw Empire in the film, but you've got a very good understanding of what it must be like, at least now, compared to where these people still want to inhabit.
I put as well on her performance that she captured the human element of it. There was it felt that, I suppose it is neorealism, isn't it? Of, when she's sort of sick or she's on the toilet, and it all felt genuine. It felt almost documentary-esque, didn't it?
Yeah, very much
mockumentary without the mocking, And one thing I would like to touch on as well, which I think is quite on that human element side of things, is that there's no villainy in this film. Nobody's a bad guy, and nobody's ever portrayed as a bad guy. They're always quite human, and moments of tension or jeopardy are tempered with humanity and compassion. And I think that always offsets it. Like, there's a moment where quite early on where she's asking to stay on in the caravan park, and she's like, well, Amazon only pay till Thursday. It's $349 a month, or a week, a night after that, or whatever the phrase is. And you kind of sit there thinking, God, she's such a fucking bitch. Like, why wouldn't you just reach out and be compassionate to? And then, but Frances McDormand doesn't and the whole film doesn't play on that. It doesn't sit there and make you feel angry at this woman. It then tempers it, and she goes, "Well, I'll move on then." And okay, have a nice time. Do you know what I mean? That's there's no tension. There's the time when she gets banged on the window, and you think, "Oh, it's going to be a big thing," but it's not. It's just asking her to move on. Every time is quite compassionate. You know, there isn't a villain, which is rare. There's normally something.
I've been fascinated to see what the screenplay was like here. I think it must be so loose. I watched it with Claudia, and she didn't like the film.
Did she not?
No, and one of her points, which I thought was a really good point actually, was her reason was she felt every single encounter felt like an AA meeting encounter.
Okay.
And I kind of get what she means by that. But for me, I think that's big. I put that down to these are very inquisitive, lonely people who are just like hijacking small talk. Do you know what I mean? And so these moments of small talk where you finally encounter someone after so much time of just driving and driving, that's where they seek solace, and like that brief normality becomes deep connections. That's what they just inquisitive, lonely people. But for her, it just all felt very stale. I can sort of see that it was. I do get this a lot, and I know I shouldn't, but I'm just a bit like, oh, who cares about this scene? I don't care what this fucking weirdo who she's met is now talking about. A few of the scenes I loved. It took me a while, about an hour and 10 minutes was really when I started to actually full on get it and was like into it. But that's when the transcendent score became its own thing. Do you know what I mean? That's like an extra character. It transcends and then consolidates whatever the emotion you meant to feel in the scenes were. The score was
that point about rumination was that you touched on was from Grace, because we watched it together. And she really liked that element of contemplation, and I think she was able to appreciate the beauty as well of some of the cinematography that because we discussed it afterwards, and you know, she did say it was a very beautiful film, but the substance is the film rather than there being any kind of great, you know, it is small talk, it is all bits and bobs, but it's the broader picture that makes it.
I tell you what, I did love it. It felt like it came from a director who still loves filming and who's still incredibly excited to film, who wants to use someone who's very much free to move where the film goes. Nicholas Winding Refn does this, the director of Drive, amongst other things, and Only God Forgives and stuff. Film? Amazing film. But he does it in a way where he writes his film as he goes along almost, so that he's willing to move with the film, which obviously Hollywood aren't very happy with because they need to have everything set, they need to have the budget set, the insurance is set. But these sort of characters who were entranced by filmmaking still are very much happy to go where the film takes them, which can be a wishy-washy statement. I mean, but in this, you can literally see that. You can see that on the screen.
But did you not think she also, the screen, the whole, this film captured, and it's down to the direction, and it's down to the cinematography, some of the shots, some of the just everything captured community as well. And I really liked that. I really did, because it kind of plays into this idea of hope and coming together and support, that you're never alone, even though you might be wandering, you know. No, you're never alone.
It was a very positive, just very, very positive depiction of these characters, very much so, and this sort of society. Before we leave that, I think we touched on some good stuff there, but before we leave it, let's talk about the romance part, because it's a film that just didn't waver. Do you know what I mean? There's a potential romance there, and it just, that sort of never ventured beyond friendship. Do you know what I mean? Because she was still grieving. She still sort of loved to embrace nostalgia, and she wasn't really that interested in him. But that stuff that felt very authentic. A sort of older couple.
I liked it that it wasn't.
She kind of wants the film. She kind of wants companionship. If that, he sort of wants a partner.
Nothing more. Yeah. I think a worse film would have made that a very central point of this. And I was worried that the second time we met him, and he said, "Pearl, you know, is that you?" You know, I was worried that then we were going to have this.
Who's Pearl?
Isn't she called Pearl?
Fern.
Oh, Pearl.
Pearl, is that Pearl. You? Pearl's like you. Fucking coming here and dance with me.
But you know, that moment where he saw her across the in the second parking lot where she was working there. I was worried that the next stop she made, he was going to turn up, and it was going to become like quite a sort of dogged, will they, won't they? I was worried
they're going to be doing what?
Well, maybe that's where it got its name. But I'm glad it didn't, because it's a better film for it. It's a more human film, isn't it? It's a more exactly those reasons you said in your little bit then of she's still grieving. He wants something more, and she doesn't.
We've started to.
But they're at the. Oh, go on.
Sorry, no, go on. I was wrapping up. Have you got another point?
Just that they were at different points in their life.
We've started to chuck numbers on films. Have you rating this out of 10? What you saying?
Have you rated it?
Oh, I
gave it 9.
Are we allowed halves? Yeah, I'd probably give it an 8.5.
Okay, I gave it a 9. It lost out because of that bloody woman.
Oh, that fucking woman!
Hey, Fern. Bite around there, okay? Back in the water. Redo your hair caps.
Okay, you're right. 8. Let's go back to an 8. Okay, so should we get to the films we watched this week then? So we watched the first 50 minutes of 3 films. At the end of them, we're going to pick one to watch in full for next week and review it like we just did Nomadland. Remember, this is also going out on YouTube if you want to see us in person, see Dan's visual comedy.
Like and subscribe.
Just go to
And
YouTube.
in the link, you'll find our Patreon where you can stay in this, because we haven't touched on this, the elephant in the room. I'm in a new location and I now live in a hotel. So if you want to come and stay with Luke and I in the hotel for a weekend full of film stuff and whoop, whoop, then become a gold member of our Patreon.
See, when we get murdered by some fanatic, the police would say, well, they brought it on themselves with that comment. Okay,
we'd have to have a fan.
We started fanatic. We watched Matrix to
1999,
which I had seen, but I'd only seen when I was much younger. I watched it on video, so I came to the realization that I had very irresponsible parents that for some reason they were showing me that film when I was far too young. Haven't seen it since. Dan, what did you think of the first 15 minutes?
Without sounding like we are doing another dodgeball, which we would like to apologize for, I actually saw this quite recently. Again, and
didn't have to say that. Didn't have to say that.
So I would like to hear what you think, because I just read my review and wrote down what I thought about that.
Okay, so stuff I wrote down. Obviously, on settings and saturation, you can go off RGB, red, green, blue, or blue, green, whatever it is. Very much increase the green all the way through this. Did you notice that? Like huge, and I did say it, and I said, increasing green. Well, that's the reason for this franchise's demise.
Oh, very good, Trevor. Very good,
Trevor. Talked about Hugo Weaving.
Nope.
Weaving is in this film.
What was he doing, Hugo Weaver?
Yeah. And he's come up before in the podcast. I wonder, he plays Agent Smith. I wonder, do you reckon he'd
Agent Smith?
What would he sound like?
His name's Alex.
Do you reckon he got paid for multiple roles?
No.
Okay. The woman in this keeps saying Neil. Neil.
Okay. Is this good criticism?
Very disconcerting. You told me to start. Here we go.
These are the notes you made.
What was quite frustrating was the very slow, deliberate, eye-rolling, try-hard, forced dialogue. Very much wearing an action film. I'm going to talk really important to you now, Neil. And you keep saying that sort of stuff. Did you not pick up on that?
I didn't mind it. I think we're going to have very differing opinions of this film.
I'll say something nice, though. It felt like cinema. Do you know what I mean? There was a quality.
That's a nice point.
It was a quality, and it wasn't a completely noticeable quality. So it must have been a accumulation of the sound and the try that again of the sound of the editing. Do you know what I mean? They just felt an overall quality to it, and it felt like a film that was designed to be enjoyed communally. You know, when you leave a cinema and there's that sort of pre and post, that sort of cinema buzz. And you're like, oh, that was good. You know, you've seen a good film, or you know you're about to see a good film. It definitely felt
very
like
cinematic.
Had that sort of sparkle to it. Would say that.
Do you not think? And I often, when I watched it, I wasn't under impressed with the graphics. I know they are dated and they're very 90s. I appreciate that, but they kind of work. Whereas some films, I haven't seen the sequels, but I've heard that they're pretty bad because they kind of lean into too much. The Matrix there's an originality there. It's a bit like I always go on about Jurassic Park. I've gone on about it before, but the T-Rex. I feel like these I feel like these graphics hold up in their own way because they just lean into it and it's cinematic. That's the word. I like it.
It felt nice and fluid. Do you know what I mean? From scene to scene. It didn't hang about.
Yeah, that's what I've got for those 15 minutes that we watched. I put it was fast. I think it's quite evocative, actually. Do you not?
No, I'm just laughing the way you said it. It's just a funny word, not an evocative. Sounds like it's about to go into a swear word. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that. And I put the word hook line because I think it is a film that kind of you are drawn into it, partly due to the pace. And I don't know, the dialogue doesn't frustrate me in the way that it seems to frustrate you, because I think it's okay, it's quite deliberate, but I don't think it's necessarily exposition heavy.
No,
it doesn't feel clunky.
I guess I should, if I take it less seriously and understand I'm watching a film, then it's perfectly fine. It feels that it's got that sort of intelligent, accessible. Do you know what I mean? Where it's not intelligent, it's not like an intelligent film, but it's like just intelligent enough to make people obviously understand, to make people think it's clever, but just not as intelligent enough to people actually to get it.
Yeah.
Try that again.
No, I mean,
Keanu Reeves isn't in it much, which is good. But obviously, whilst he's in the film, once again, fucking blanket face, crap.
No,
actor.
I think he's much better.
He
than he was
is shit. He is literally bad. Why don't people see this? Like, he's literally bad.
Maybe you're out of the Matrix. Maybe you've unplugged.
Yeah. He very clearly has very powerful friends in high up places. Sycophant.
Tennis umpires.
Lawrence Fishburne doesn't appear just yet. But you can hear his voice all over this film. Have you seen that interview with Samuel L. Jackson when I think he's Lawrence Fishburne?
I've not seen the interview, but I know he does get mistaken for him often.
Okay. I'm annoyed at you as though you read us down that rabbit hole.
Which rabbit? The white rabbit?
Yeah. What else talk about this film? What else do you like about it?
I don't know. I haven't got anything else. I mean, I gave it a 9 out of 10.
What? That first 15 minutes?
No, the whole film when I saw it.
Left an impression.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it's brilliant. I think it captures something of, and we saw that.
Keep saying that. What is it capturing
I didn't put hook line. I put tag underneath that and I've written over it. And I think that's true. In that quite quickly in these 15 minutes, we see a little bit of the whole film. There's elements of the karate, which...
Oh, I forgot about the karate.
No, but it's deliberate. No, but that's deliberate, isn't it? I don't know what the style of cinema it is, but it comes from... It's sort of the martial arts films of Jackie Chan and that sort of stuff, isn't it? It comes from that. It's a deliberate choice. It's not shit on purpose.
I think it's the type of cinema that Tarantino wanks himself off to at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I think he does too.
He rated
Tarantino loves this film.
He said if there wasn't sequels to this film, it would be his favorite film since, 1992 or whatever, when he did that.
Reservoir Dogs?
So I'm about to say, would you want to watch this? But you've seen it recently. I can't remember it. I remember bits.
Okay.
But I'm not that eager.
I didn't know the film at all. I didn't know it till I came to it.
No, you never heard of it?
I've heard of it, obviously.
Oh, right.
I knew about the kind of kung fu thing and the green, but I've never. And I really enjoyed it. I was really kind of enjoyed watching it. I guess probably because it's an experience. It's quite cinematic and it all kind of builds and it works. And of its day, right, 1999, it would have been. I don't know if it was the biggest film that year. Probably not. But do you know what I mean? It would have had that buzz. It was a blockbuster. Yeah, exactly. So,
are you moving something around with your hands?
It's the wire, I think.
All right. Okay. You fucking skipping rope in it. Right. So I wouldn't mind watching that. You've already seen it very recently. Mm-hmm. So
I guess we would.
Well, the thing is, we're going to come across films that we've seen before. I mean, we probably should we're only like 16 episodes in. We shouldn't have come across them so soon. They weren't going to go longer.
Could have done.
It was either this or The Wolf House. I was trying to get Dan to watch a Chilean stop motion horror film, which we might watch
We've
next
got
week.
it. Look, we've got
Halloween.
I told you,
We said the
we've
Halloween
got to
special.
do the big hitters. What have we done so far?
Listen, I thought the party. Listen, McCarthy.
The Great Escape. Don't.
That isn't a hitter. Right, should we move on? So,
yes.
Next
we've
up,
got 15 minutes to do 2 films.
Next up is Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood.
I thought it was Daniel Day-Lewis's There Will Be Blood with Paul Anderson.
Well, of course, as Dan says, Daniel Day-Lewis takes a central role. Dan, 13 minutes until there was dialogue in this film. Don't you just absolutely love that?
Sorry, the phone's just gone off.
Yeah.
I did. It's confident filmmaking, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, great. This is really good. I wrote several words.
It might be 13 minutes short. Dan can find some dialogue. I'm an hour in there, Dan.
I thought what he captured very early on in that 15 minutes was he built a lot of risk very early on without putting any stakes on the table. So you were just left to watch and go, all right, I get it. Right.
So men are hoping to strike oil, basically. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, but you see three points, don't you, in the first 15 minutes of that journey. And I think that quick growth and development of a character, and like Luke said, in 15 minutes, we see 3 points. There's no dialogue for the first 13, and yet we still see that growth, that development, going from a silver prospector to a startup oil guy to an adventuring in the term of an adventurer who would go out and seek, make his fortune as such.
And like you say, with it being so confident, it's just very comfortable in that space, that silence for the beginning for the start of this film. And it is like that because the score very quickly becomes a character. Like you say, it's that sort of foreboding drone that keeps loud. It ramps up. Volume. It's uncomfortably loud at points. But that was fantastic. Really enjoyed that.
I put it captured very hard, resilient, unrelenting, both landscape and the kind of people.
Weathered people.
You're seeing quite quickly he falls down a mine shaft, which we've already seen. He's having to sharpen his pickaxe. Sparks are flying off the wall. It's sort of, gritty.
Closed in. Yeah, claustrophobic in there, very dark.
And yet he falls down it, fucks his back up, and yet goes and gets his silver. He holds onto it and he gets it. And those kind of very tough characters, I guess, leading into the title, There Will Be Blood, people like that are going to get crushed or are going to crush people who are weaker than them. It was a very clever way
to show his determination that he drags himself all the way back to town. But wouldn't you have hopped? If you'd have broken in one leg, I just hopped. But done it like 4 times quicker. Instead of dragging yourself across a jagged landscape. Exceptionally good hopper. Only with the
I guess if you were hopping and you went over and fucked your ankle, then you'd be doubly fucked.
Yeah. Very, very good.
Probably why I didn't do it.
I stand down from that one.
Well, you hop down.
I tell you what was quite interesting is when they eventually struck oil, the way he shoots this sort of viscous gloop and slop, like a lot of it was almost monotone at times because you're out there baking under the hot sun in like an arid landscape. So the color sort of goes, it sort of drains from the screen during that. And so when they're down in the mine shaft and it's dark, by shooting people with oil, it sort of glistens and gives it that amazing texture to the shots. Cinematography was fantastic when down in the mine shafts, which is very hard to do. But even at times, Paul Thomas Anderson was happy to be experimental and let oil sort of flick onto the camera, making it much more immersive. And I tell you what was super fascinating was the sort of holy, sacred event ritual of it all. Did you notice this? Obviously, there was the very deliberate point of the baptizing the child with the oil on the forehead. Did you notice that? And how much that man also then sort of died in battle. That was the same sort of man to carry on that sort of religious idea. But did you not get that? Did you not pick up on that sort of religious
Maybe
men struggle?
Time watching it, sort of you see
men struggle to connect with stuff, but like a religious and higher power, something like oil, which can take themselves to another experience of life. They sort of worship that.
There is it money.
Well, exactly. Oil's the vehicle to the money.
There you go.
Can you talk? I need to drink some water.
Yeah, no, came out in 2007. Yeah, I think Jeopardy is built well.
Stop talking. Let's just listen to them. I think it's better if I just cough on the mic. It's more entertaining. Shall we talk about The Voice?
No.
Because we went 13 minutes and then hear his voice. The voice is iconic. Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? Daniel Day-Lewis's voice.
Are you now talking about Labyrinth? The voice. Iconic. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that voice, actually, to be fair.
And then also we start to see his business is everything, hard-nosed.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, we get it.
Fake son idea. There's a lot of stuff going on there. It's fantastic. I can't wait to rewatch it. But we're not
watching it. You've watched it already.
Yeah, so what? We're choosing Labyrinth.
Yeah, we have to. Both of us haven't seen it.
You're joking? I'm not fucking watching Labyrinth. Right.
You are.
Okay, let's move on. Oh, he's a cobbler now.
Yeah, who cares?
If you were a millionaire and you
would
could
I get my shoes made by Daniel Day-Lewis? No, because they'd be shit, because he's only just taken to it.
He's been doing it for years, like decades.
Yeah? How many?
Okay, so Labyrinth, the very camp fantasy kids film. I wonder why Dan wants to watch it. 2 + 2 = 4. Very shit, wasn't it?
Jim Henson, of the Muppets fame.
Before I realised it was a kids' film, I was getting quite angry because I just thought it was some sort of amdram, horrible, hammed up acting. Should we talk about the girl that's been redubbed over because she's such a shit actress, the protagonist?
I don't think it's I think she's redubbed herself.
Yeah. What a fucking witch. You know what I mean? Gobbling herself.
The woman who really pissed you off was the stepmom.
Oh, horrendous. The acting was just bad in this. It's one of those things where children can let that stuff go, but I don't know how you'd expect. Because this film's where you're going to find the market here. It felt like, you know, when you watch your parents' kids' TV shows and you think, how did that stuff get made? That's just like
Parsley the
creepy. That's just creepy. You've absolutely thrown me now. Fuck you.
No, I think this film has merit. I think it was much better when it entered into the fantasy world. I think when you're trying to play a weird film and you're setting it in normal
I think you could be the king of the goblins.
What, you think I have the voice of Bowie? Ew, stop it.
Before I saw Bowie and I saw the other goblins, I was like, Dan could be the king of these people. Do you not think
and this is my throne?
Do you not think that one, the sort of one with the upturned mouth, looked like the ratty girl out of Storymakers? Do you know the one with like the lemon head?
Yeah.
Storymakers.
Where are we going today? Oh, we're off to see a blue cow. First slut of children's television, let me tell you. Hello, I'm Blue Cow.
You do
She's got on a bus.
I'm sure she wasn't.
A bus, Luke.
I'm sure she wasn't. Well, I'm not that sure. But usually you can tell with bad kid acting.
What were those lips for? You were talking about the kid.
They're very much just orating the lines back again. So they like say, okay, me line, now action. And I'll just say it. Do you know what I mean? They just say, oh, just say it. No emphasis is put on emotion or the tone of or intonation of how they're trying to say it. So I assume that's probably why it's all been redubbed. Because it wasn't good. The dialogue was poor. The acting was poor. I know it's a kid's film, but come on. We can do better than this, can't we?
It feels quite dated, I suppose.
Exceptionally so, yeah.
B-movie-esque. And everyone's dead in it.
What?
Henson's dead, isn't he? Tony Soprano's dead. No, Tony Benn. Who's dead? Who did the screenplay?
What, James Gandolfini?
No, he didn't do the screenplay.
Are they one from the Muppets?
No, from Monty Python. Terry Jones is dead.
Terry
and
Jones.
Bowie's dead. Bang, bang, bang. Triple threat. Or not, they're dead.
That's not what that saying means. I tell you what, I did enjoy the moral of the story. I think it's always quite a good idea for a kid's film to show sort of sibling
What, get rid of your
appreciation.
kid's brother?
No, then obviously she's going to save him. She's clearly going to go and save her brother.
Be
And
better
it's
if he didn't. Maybe we should watch the end and find out if he didn't.
I'm willing to.
Soul.
Also, a lot of very much obtuse protagonists talking to themselves. Do you know what I mean?
A lot of very much obtuse protagonists talking to themselves. My goodness, what an eloquent piece of film criticism.
Do you know what I mean? It was very much.
No, I don't.
Oh no, where is Toby? Oh, I've messed up. Cinema verite. Just filming her upset.
I think this has got potential. I think this has got potential. I think it's not supposed to be sincere in that kind of. I mean, they're not hiring world-class actors to play the mum and dad, are they? This is their big break. I think it's supposed to be weird and.
Did they spend all the money on Bowie?
Probably. And all the puppets. They're expensive.
He made a fortune.
The moment they go into this fantasy world, you've got the Muppet bloke, not Muppet bloke. What am I talking about? The little troll guy having a piss. I think it is that kind of, you're a woman from your Thai massages there, hot rocks and all that. I think that's what it's supposed to be.
No, I agree with that.
Time Bandits-esque. Have you ever seen that film with John Cleese?
Did we have a sketch called Time Benders?
That's all for tonight, folks.
No, I understand that. As the film goes on, there will be more personality. There's sort of been locked into a generic framework of setting up a film of a sibling adversity. She's annoyed. She gets rid of him. She's got to go and save him.
I think it moved quite quick for a kid's film.
Yeah, there's no exposition about why these trolls living in the wall, why she loves trolls, why David Bowie shows up, how she would know the lines.
He's the king of the goblins.
Goblin King to show up. Do you know what I mean? What's all this shit?
Yeah.
To be fair, you can see why he's the king of the goblins. If you're amongst the goblins and he was the one who looked like that, you think, okay. Yeah,
I mean, anybody would. If they were all 3 foot off the ground and I was walking among them, I would be king of the goblins. I could kill them all.
You look like the king of the goblins.
You look like king of the fucking toads.
Okay, so we actually going to fall out here.
Toads.
Are you going to say we need to watch Goblin
Labyrinth.
King?
I think we should watch Labyrinth.
Is that the first time we said what the film was?
1986 Labyrinth.
No, we're not watching that. We're obviously watching There Will Be Blood. Obviously.
No, I think we should watch.
No.
Let's put it to the audience. You decide. Tweet us at, what's our Twitter handle?
15pod. _pod. _podcast. Not very confident. It'll be in the bio. It'll be in the bio of this.
Okay. Tweet us what we should watch and we shall watch it.
Okay, guys. Thanks for listening and watching. Remember, if you're on YouTube, then what should they do then?
Like and subscribe. No, we have to choose a film to talk about next week. We'll talk about There Will Be Blood because
perfect. I win. Okay, bye everyone.